Wilkinson here. Today my guest is Enrique Quintero.
Hello, that's me.
That's you. I never have to say. I always say hi to my peeps, but you already did.
Hi to your peeps.
Enrique is a really cool guy. We met for the first time today. We've been Facebook best friends forever. Not really.
Yep.
He's in Palm Springs now, and so we decided to do this. He's many things. Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
First and foremost, I'm a Puerto Rican.
Yay.
Second of all, I'm gay.
Yay. Double
Yay, gay. Third of all, I am an actor, writer, video editor, tutor, illustrator, ex-marine biologist, stripper. I'm kidding. Not that last one. Although, that'd be fun, right?
Yeah.
I'd be a stripper.
You would?
Why not?
I'll do the videos.
You get to dance.
I'll do the videos.
Make money. You're probably going to be in good shape from dancing so much.
Right. Are you?
A lot of respect for strippers.
I think you're in pretty good shape from what I'm seeing.
Oh, thank you.
Those pecs are amazing.
I just don't eat, and I lift things against gravity.
So you were born in Puerto Rico?
Yes, I was born in the city of Mayagüez, Puerto Rico. It's in the West Coast. And I studied biology because I thought I wanted to become a marine biologist. And then on my senior year, I actually did the marine biology in Delaware, and I hated it.
So what made you think you wanted to do it in the first place? Did you just
because I love
down a list?
Sea animals.
Oh, you do?
I do. I especially love marine mammals. They're my favorite. And when I was an undergrad, I worked with a manatee. I was in the marine mammal rehabilitation program in the Mayagüez Zoo, and I took care of this baby manatee that was this big, and he was so cute because he lost his mother to poachers. Oh. And he got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I just took care of him. And I thought, well, this is clearly what marine biologists do: take care of manatees. Little did I know, no, that's not what they do. What you do in marine biology is it's definitely a pure science. You do a lot of academia, you do a lot of research, you spend hours. I thought that you just go on a boat and you look at turtles and you're like, look at that cool turtle, let's make a drawing and then we're gonna be published. No. I was tasked to work on suicidal algae when I was a marine biologist in Delaware. Yeah. See how fun that sounds? And I know that there's the mega nerds losing their booty hole excretions over all that, but definitely that wasn't me. That was definitely not me. I wanted to study manatees and turtles and fun things because I had this idea that you just, as a marine biologist, you get on a boat and then you go out and you draw little fish and the turtles and you're like, oh, let's see, we're going to study moon patterns on the turtles, whatever. And then you go to the beach and you drink beers and then call it a day. No, it's not like that at all. It's very much you show up, collect your little sample, go to the lab, you perform hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of detailed chemical analysis, and then you write an extremely circumlocutory paper that is meant to be as, look how smart I am. I can use this extremely verbose language to describe something that isn't really that difficult, just because that's how we can get published. And all that was just like, oh no. I'm a teacher also. I tutor students, and for me, I like to explain things in ways that if a 5-year-old can understand it, then you're actually doing a good job.
Right.
But I think that academia in general can really learn from just elementary school teachers where you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You can just try to make it more accessible for everyone. Learning should be for everyone, not just for a small group of people with PhDs. Oh. So that was one reason why I left academia was I didn't want to be a part of that problem. I just wanted to cut my own path. And then after I went to my first Pride in New York completely by myself, it was my first trip, 20 years old. And I experienced what I call just absolute freedom in New York that weekend, because it was me. I didn't have any parents dictating what I should do. I didn't have any, I wasn't in my hometown with the pressures, those subconscious pressures that affect us all in our life. I could just do whatever the hell I wanted. I stayed in Chelsea in a crappy little motel. I shared a room with someone who was very clearly homeless. And then I got up and then I just had a Bloody Mary and I just met up with a friend and then we went to parties and then debauchery. And then I was like, this. And then so when I realized I just want to be an actor, which by then it sounded like a really good idea, but no, you can't do that. You'll starve. it's not a viable career. But then I thought, I think I'd be happier, because the thought of getting up every day, going to a lab, teaching college lectures, sitting down and writing dissertations, and in the hopes of getting published, all for money that, like, I looked it up, and porn stars make more money than marine biologists. And that's when I was like, I'd just rather be an actor then. If I'm going to be a starving actor or a struggling marine biologist, I'd rather just be a starving actor, because then I'd be happy. At least I thought. And then I ended up, thankfully, I was right.
So how'd you start in your acting? What'd you do?
So I graduated from UPR Mayagüez in biology. And
so
after
you have
that,
a degree in that then?
Yes. I finished my degree.
Okay.
And then I moved to Los Angeles. I got my first job here.
How old were you then?
I was 21 by then.
Okay.
So just
one more year.
Literally 2 weeks after graduating college, I left. I flew on JetBlue and I came here.
So why LA? I mean, New York, actor, New York, come on.
That funny story, because that's how stupid 20-year-olds are. My first plan was to move to New York, because in New York, you don't need a car, my logic said. So when I moved to New York, I can, quote unquote, get a job and, quote unquote, start saving money. Because I thought that it's possible to save money in New York. Wasn't I adorable?
Wow.
But I got my first job in LA. So my plan was to save money and then eventually move to LA. Because I do love theater, but I thought maybe, the future is in television and in film. So thankfully, I got my first job in LA. And then my sister gifted me her car, because she lived in Miami for a time when she got her PhD. And then so all I had to do was to pay for the transportation from Florida to California. And so that's what I did. And then I had my first car. Yay.
Well, you do need a car in LA.
Yes.
Cars.
Especially when you're an actor, you're going to all these auditions all over town. It's impossible.
Right.
Yeah. Or it was impossible.
What was your first job?
My first job was as an executive assistant for a very abusive CEO. That did not last long.
Was that in the entertainment industry or something else? Totally?
Adjacent.
Okay.
It was this very shisty company that sold these packages to wannabe actors, models, singers, and dancers, young people mostly, and more importantly, young people with rich parents. They would sell them these very expensive packages where they would give them these classes, and in the end, they could meet casting directors and also agents and managers. So that's a job that I hated. I wanted to get out of there as fast as possible. And so after I was fired, and that was the best firing I ever had, because I was like, yes, I can actually collect unemployment. After that, I started my tutoring business. I know I tutored a little bit when I was in college, but this was the first time where it actually became like my main source of income, my main job. And I found out I was really good at it, like really good.
What were you tutoring?
I tutored everything, K-12 reading, writing, all the mathematics up to calculus, chemistry, physics, biology, critical analysis, critical thinking, SAT tutoring, ADHD coaching. I did it all. Yeah.
Wow.
And I still do it all, because I feel like I was kind of like, I was, one of those like 4.0 valedictorian assholes. So I felt pretty confident at least being able to teach a wide range of subjects. Yeah. And yeah, and that's where I got that ball rolling.
So you got a few bucks coming in. How about on the acting side then? What happened?
The acting, just like with anyone, the first years are the roughest because I had no network. I got my first agent. And that was great. I was able to get a couple of commercials, and commercials are a good way to make money. So I got a McDonald's commercial. I got an NHTSA commercial. I got a Nestle commercial. Huh? But there were definitely moments like dry periods during that time. And so during a really big dry period, I started a YouTube channel. And then I started doing comedy videos, because I love doing comedy. I love being silly. And I had a video that did really well because it was picked up. I was making fun of the artist Sia. And so she picked that up and she retweeted that video, and that one got a lot of views. Unfortunately, at that time, I was also working at a school. And so that ties in now with all this homophobia and transphobia with parents. One of the parents discovered one of my videos because one of the kids was watching it. And in that video, a dildo appears in it. It was a comedy video. It was a parody of a Spanish telenovela. And instead of attacking a person with scissors, I'd pull out a dildo because, haha, hilarious. That got me in a lot of trouble. That got me fired from that school. Yeah, it was a very difficult period in my life because on top of my career not doing so well, I was just doing silly YouTube videos and that's it. I wasn't getting any commercials. I wasn't getting any good auditions. On top of that, I lost all of my tutoring clients. I lost my job at that school.
So you lost the tutoring clients because of that? episode?
Yes, because most of my clients were from that school. Because, by the way, as a TA, I was paid $10.50 an hour, working 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. No one can survive that. No one. So, of course, my main source of income had to come from tutoring. So I lost all my income at that point. I was involved in this legal battle with my employer, with LAUSD, over discrimination. So I was filing a lawsuit at that time. It was a very difficult period, a very dark period of my life. And eventually, I like to say that my brain broke. So I had a complete mental breakdown. My family from Puerto Rico flew all the way to rescue me because it was difficult. There were parents, because, as gay men, we've always been fighting the stereotype that we are groomers.
Right.
So the parents immediately thought, oh, he's a sexual deviant. Oh, so they played this game of telephone, where eventually I found out the parents were throwing this rumor around that I was teaching the children how to perform fellatio on my YouTube channel, which, by the way, look at the video. It's so stupid. A dildo appears and I shove it down the guy's throat, and then it cuts to black. It wasn't sexual at all. It was comedic. But I think now we're falling into, is David pornographic because it shows a penis? Because people in this country cannot differentiate the human body with pornography.
Right.
They think that showing a nipple is clearly sexual when nipples are not sexual at all. Like, oh, a naked marble statue that's clearly artistic. Oh, that's porno. Like, what? So yeah, that was a very difficult period for me. But thankfully, after that, I met my husband in 2016.
Yay.
No, 2015 we met. That was the dark year. Then by 2016 we were together. And
so
that's when
you
things
met him
started
in the middle of your dark year.
Yes.
Oh, and how did you meet him?
I met him at a pool party at his house. Back then I was dating his then rival. Then that eventually went nowhere. But his then rival invited me to this pool party. And I met this handsome gentleman named Excel, he's my now husband. And I did not make the very best first impression, because even though we connected very well over the fact that he grew up in Puerto Rico, I grew up in Puerto Rico. So we made all these little jokes about which one's better, adobo or sazon. I'm team adobo, he was team sazon. Which one's better, Bacardi or Don Q? I'm team Don Q, he's team Bacardi. By the end of that night, they were serving this alcoholic drink, which apparently was all alcohol, but I couldn't taste it because it was like, like those Long Island iced teas that are literally all alcohol.
They go down easy.
They go down easier.
Yeah.
So something that never happens is I became wasted. So wasted that at one point I had to throw up. And he's like, go over there, go to the trash can. I didn't make it to the trash can. I made it to a column and I just looked down and vomited. And I vomited on little Billy, the dog. After that, I blacked out, wake up, it's 9 p.m. They all left and I'm at a couch outside. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? I'm now that crazy person that gets too drunk at parties and pukes on dogs. Thankfully, we stayed connected and he gave me another chance when I told him that, no, I'm not that crazy person. I'd love to go on a date with you. And then we did, and then the rest of his history.
And that was 2016?
Yes. And then we got married in 2020.
Wow.
Before COVID, before the murder hornets, and also before the Puerto Rico earthquakes. Because the first disaster of 2020 was on my wedding night, on our wedding night, the biggest earthquake to hit Puerto Rico since 1917 hit, and we literally tore open the gates of hell with our faggotry.
Wow. So were your family, they were all right?
Yeah, no, they're good.
I mean, in the earthquake.
Oh no, yeah, everyone's fine. Everyone's good. There's been hurricanes, very bad hurricanes. There's been earthquakes, but Puerto Rican people are very resilient. Oh, there's economic depression that's been going on since the Great Recession. There's been colonialism. There's been tax write-offs, people coming in and taking all the housing and gentrifying the island and making it more difficult to live than it already is. It has the highest cost of electricity with also the poorest grid. People lose power all the time. Yet right now they're in the middle of a heat wave, one of the worst heat waves in history. Thanks global warming. Thanks climate change. And my mother and all my best friends from college and my father and everyone in my family, they all lost power. So you have no way to cool down. The heat index in some parts is 125 degrees, which Palm Springs people, you know what that feels like. Now add humidity to the equation. And you know that it's an extremely dangerous situation to be in. When you don't have AC, you don't have a fan, you don't have anything. So
wow.
Yeah, it's tough.
Not fun.
Yeah, but on a lighter note.
On a lighter note.
No, I can't find anything positive to say about the situation in the island right now.
Oh.
Except the people are still lovely, and you should definitely go visit because it's one of the best places in the world to go see.
Do you get back there much?
At least once a year, I try. We were just there for the holidays. We had a wonderful time.
You both went?
Yes. We stayed with family with my oldest sister in Guaynabo. We went to Culebra, which is an island off the East Coast, which is magic. It's magical.
They're okay with the gay boys coming?
With the gay voice?
The gay boys.
I thought you said the gay voice because I just came back from Pride and I sound like a 60-year-old hooker.
No, you sound great.
Thank you.
But they're okay with your you and your hubby being there?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. My family was very cool with me coming out, except for my dad. My dad took a while. He took a while to get around to it, but eventually he ended up going to my wedding, and he happy with me being happy, and he gets along great with my husband. So yeah, he's definitely come around.
All right, let's swing back to acting.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing lately?
So I just worked on a musical talking about healing wounds from homophobic fathers. I just played a homophobic father in a new musical called Arena. It was in Los Angeles. We did it over a weekend at the LA LGBT Center's Renberg Theater. And I played the father of the titular character, who he is a club kid who's experiencing the LA club scene, the gay LA club scene in the 1990s. And Arena is the place where they all go.
Okay.
And so I am this stern Latino pastor of an apostolic church. And that I love playing that role because it was completely anathema to who I am as a person. So I thought, well, what better way to test your acting chops than with that? It was clearly just me playing not me, which was challenging. Of course, the easiest thing is just play you. And it was an amazing experience. It was cathartic. Talking about my dad, I showed a song. I have a solo song, and I showed it to my dad, and he was like crying. He's like, "Oh my God, it's like what I went through. I went through what you're playing right now." So, and just the fact that I could get into the shoes of someone who loves their child but is conflicted with their religion and with a core belief in that what they're doing is wrong, and in the end to ask for their forgiveness and to forgive them and to heal, that is something that was for me extremely healing.
So how long did it run?
Just for a weekend, but...
One weekend?
Yeah, it was a weekend show.
Oh, no. That's a lot of work for one weekend.
Yeah, well, that's the world of musicals. Is sometimes it's hard to get funding, so they have to kind of... Because of course, it's very expensive to do a musical, the full production. So they're hoping they've done the show before, so they're hoping maybe there's going to be a season 4. They call that one season 3.
Okay.
They're hoping for maybe season 4. Maybe it'll get picked up and it'll traveling show.
They repeat the same show each time?
Yeah, sometimes I do small rewrites, but yeah, that's the last theater thing I did.
How long did you have to rehearse for that?
2 weeks. 2 weeks of rehearsal. It was a trial by fire, but I came out like a fucking phoenix.
Well, you're going to have to after we're done here, you have to give me some tips on how to memorize, because that's where I'm stuck.
Oh, I can't help you. I'm a disaster. Holy shit. I'm so bad at memorizing. It takes me a long time. I found it mostly, I'm a good audio learner. So when on rehearsals, if I'm not off book, I'll get off book this fast. If I had to sit down and look at it, it'll take me a long time. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll record it on my phone and play it back. That
you just keep listening to it.
But yeah, it's funny. I'll usually memorize everyone else's lines before I memorize mine, because I'm hearing their lines and I'll have those memorized, but mine will take longer because, again, audio memory. It's funny how the human brain works.
Wow. That's not going to be helpful for me.
Yeah, sorry. I've also been doing voice acting. I've been very busy with voice acting this year. I just did my first anime. So excited because I'm a total nerd. I love anime. I love Japanese anime. I love video games. I also did my first video game. That is so exciting. So that's like two things I've always like put on my little bucket list.
Yeah.
I would love to work on an anime. I would love to work on a video game. I've done dubbing. I've done dubbing for like international TV shows for Netflix and for HBO Max. That was really fun and also really easy. God, you don't have to. Again, you talk about memory. You don't have to memorize. Just sit there. It's like doing karaoke. And I'm also really good at cold reading. So for me, like, it came natural to just do dubbing and voice acting. Yeah. And it's just really fun. Yeah. So I've done voice acting, I've done theater. Oh, I'm gonna be doing a film in Puerto Rico, which I'm so excited for. So I'll be able to visit family, to stay with them, and also be working. My two favorite things. Working and family.
What is that film?
It's based on talking about the club scene. This is the gay club scene in Puerto Rico and in New York in the 1980s.
Ooh.
It's called El Chico Dorado, the Golden Boy. So that should be really fun. It's shooting in July and in August.
And what part do you play in that?
It hasn't been fully cast yet. They have me in mind for 2 roles. One of them is the younger version of the main character. So that should be exciting.
Wait, they're shooting when?
July and August in Puerto Rico.
And you don't know yet which part you'll be playing?
No, yeah. That part's still being ironed out.
Plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of time. I'm sure it'll be fine. But I'm friends with the director. We actually, before I did Arena, I was in this show called Daddy Date, where I played the comedic relief. And he was the guy who played the daddy in the show. So, and he's Puerto Rican. It was a full Puerto Rican cast, directed by Terry Alexis Rodriguez, who's amazing. He's a good friend of mine. We went to the same university. And so now hopefully I'm going to be in this new project in Puerto Rico working. Yeah, I'm excited because like working with other Puerto Ricans is just really fun because there's so few of us in LA. There's so few of us in Hollywood. We kind of have to stick together, can create a little mafia and like help each other out because, you know, you can't compete with all the Nepo babies. I also just auditioned for a gay vampire show. No, actually I'm a werewolf. So that's why I'm growing all my hair out.
What is that?
It's, what's the name? It was a show on Here TV called The Lair.
The Lair.
The Lair. I just auditioned for The Lair. So I'm excited. I'm hoping to hear back from that.
Now, this is ringing a bell. Who else is in that?
Oh, and The Lair was this.
Now, is Emrys involved in that?
Yes, he is the lead vampire.
Oh, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah, because I was. This is like ringing a bell totally.
Oh, it's David Shea, Colton Ford, Brian Nolan, Peter Stickles. Very campy, very sexy. But now they're doing it again, and they're doing it more like True Blood style. A little bit of camp, but still a lot more grounded, not so silly, and higher production value, less cheese.
And where is that going to be filmed?
I'm not sure. I have to ask Emrys. He knows more about it than I do.
Okay. All right.
I just auditioned, so I'm more like, I'm waiting to hear back if I'm going to do that. We'll see.
But you think you haven't been offered a role yet?
He was.
But you haven't.
Not me.
But you're going to. Oh, you will. You'll get it. No problem.
Oh, thank you. My thing is when I do an audition, to stay sane, I click it, drag it to the recycle bin, delete it. Because you can't have any expectations. You'll go insane. That's why when people ask me, oh, what do you think about the audition? I'm like, oh, what audition? With all the different times you get told no, anyone that doesn't have like an ironclad sense of self-esteem, they'll go insane.
Right.
So for me, my thing is, again, I have a very bad memory anyway, so I just go Dory on it. Oh, what audition? And then if I hear back, yay, something good. And if I didn't hear back, I had zero expectations anyway. So
that's a good way to approach it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your husband's name?
My husband's name is Excel.
Excel.
Oh, funny story. So his name is Excel, but it's actually Axel, but pronounced in a French way because he's half French, half British. And so when he and I were first dating, I decided to tell my mom about it. So this is me. I'm ringing up my mom. Hi, Mom. How are you? Good. So, Mom, I've been dating this guy. Oh, tell me all about it. Well, he's an older gentleman. He's very handsome, 6'2". Oh, what is his name? His name is Excel. Gerardo Enrique. What, Mother? Are you dating another porn star? What? Why are you dating someone whose name is X large?
Oh,
Mother! No. His name is Axel, just pronounced French.
So she was saying XL.
Yes, and she thought that I was being a little slut and dating a porn star, which is fine, but with her mentality, it's just like, no, Mother, I'm not dating another porn star. That was years ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was in a throuple.
Oh, wow.
It was a disaster.
Wow.
But it was funny. It was like an amazing learning experience. That was actually like my 3rd week in LA. So I was like, ooh, I'm in a throuple. That's fun. Look at me, how gay I am. And I told my mom about it, and she was like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Wait a minute. You told your mother about it?
Yeah. So I'm like, Mom, I'm doing this new thing. It's called polyamory. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's like where multiple people are dating. And she's like, oh my God, that sounds like a disaster. No, Mom, don't be closed-minded. It's going to be It was a disaster.
So were you the new guy coming in?
I was the third
other
one that
couple?
came in. I was a third wheel, which is not a great place to be in.
No. And so you were attracted to one more than the other?
No,
That's typical from what I've heard.
A little, but it wasn't overt. It wasn't like, oh, this I don't care about this guy. I love this guy. It's like, it was more like, oh, I really like you, and I still like you. Let's be friends. It didn't work.
How long did that last?
Like a month,
Oh,
half.
Okay, so that didn't work.
Nah.
So getting back to Excel, what do you like about him?
What isn't there like? He's intelligent, which is very important for me because we can hold conversations about any topic. He's one of the smartest people I've ever known. He's handsome. He's sweet. He's so generous. When we first dated, he did a lot of philanthropy, and for me that's very important because I've never really been into dating like rich guys because most of the time they're insufferable.
Right.
Like, especially, but then I found out it's mostly people who've been born rich. Those are the insufferable ones because they've never struggled a day in their life.
Yeah, they didn't earn it.
No, and also I really truly believe that struggle builds character, and more importantly, it builds empathy. And so that's why a lot of people that are born rich, that are given everything, they don't really empathize with people who have less. And for me, I'm a very sensitive person. I very much care a lot deeply about justice and about reform and about, you'll see me in all the Black Lives Matters protests. You'll see me like marching on Pride with picket signs, and when all the religious haters come around, I'll be flipping them off or making out with some guy. Oh, I did that this year. I was like, oh, look, they don't like this, bro. So for me, it's very important to be with someone who has a good heart and who actually cares about others. So, and I noticed that he made his money through his own hard work, and he struggled a lot too. He was a teacher. We also got to get over that. He lived in Puerto Rico for several years as a child. He was a teacher just like I was, and he knows what it's like to chase a dream and have no one believe in you. He started his software company with nothing, with just a basic knowledge of software languages, and he created this software which didn't exist back then, which helped track kids' grades. And so he went from being, a starving teacher to having his own software company overnight. And I thought that was very admirable because, again, he earned that with the sweat off his own brow.
Right.
And he still cared enough about people who don't have enough. And so he was always donating to all these causes, to the LGBT Center, which I love that place. I actually get my doctors in that place. I get all my primary care through LGBT Center. So yeah, he's a wonderful person. I love him, and very early on I was like, I want to marry this guy.
Wow. After you threw up on the dog.
After I
cleared that
after I threw up on our now son, which he had a great time. Dogs are disgusting. It was like, free food, human food. I never did human food.
Oh, no.
And it's already partially digested. Yay! I love dogs, but they're so gross. By the way, he just got skunked again. He's just suffered his 8th skunking. That's how disgusting dogs are. He doesn't care. He's just like, yay, it's perfume. I'm Pepe Le Pew.
How do you clear that out?
If you're lucky, unfortunately, I'm a good crisis manager. I've realized in my relationship. Excel, not so much. When crisis happens, what's going on? I feel like I would have been like a great EMT because I'm like, oh, crisis, we're going to do this. Like my ADHD, the hyper focus that we have.
Right.
When things become critical, I hyper zoom in. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Here, you're going to take the peroxide. I'm going to take this. We're going to take the soap. You're supposed to mix dish soap, peroxide, and baking powder. And then you make a paste and you rub that all over. And if you're fast enough, you're able to clear this before the skunk juice gets absorbed by the hairs and by the hair follicles and by the skin. By then you're late.
Toast.
It's now going to be emanating from his body for weeks. Unfortunately, I was out this weekend in Pride in LA. He was running around like headless chicken, not knowing what to do. I was telling him instructions. He's like, I don't know what to do. I'm telling him instructions. So now Billy is super skunky. But we got a special shampoo, which got rid of a lot of it. But there's still the amount that is absorbed into his cells. That's just time. Time will heal all wounds, including skunky wounds.
Fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. Those are little adventures in gay married life is dealing with skunky dogs.
So, but your acting is your favorite thing that you're doing.
It's my favorite thing. I will extend my octopus arms into other fields. I do writing as well. Oh, in fact, I was just selected because when 2020 happened, I applied for this program. So it's this competition called the Sabes Monologue Slam, presented by NBC. And I was a finalist that year as a writer. I wrote a monologue that's kind of autobiographical, which is this guy who has worked every single odd job in existence. He's been a teacher, he's been a marine biologist, he's been a stripper, he's been a dog walker, dog trainer, dog whisperer. And he's talking to this person, and the end of the monologue is revealed he's applying for a job, is a recruiter. And so that monologue did really well that year. I got into the finals. And now this year they're doing an all-star season and they're bringing me back. Oh. Unfortunately, that's been put on hold because of the writer's strike, because we were supposed to have like a panel of writers come and like give us classes and help us with our monologues. So, but I'm still excited for that. There's that. I've been writing a bunch of pilots that I hope to get produced someday. I do video editing. And so that's something that another octopus arm. I do illustration right now. I'm doing illustrations for a suicide prevention organization. There's these cute little animals and like different little coping mechanisms. So that's also another way I've been like making money and keeping myself busy, tutoring my students, doing auditions.
So you're doing tutoring again?
Yeah.
Did you have to take down that video?
No.
The dildo video?
No, fuck them. Wilkinson, do you really think I'm going to let a bunch of homophobic assholes stop me from being who I am? Oh, no. In fact, I did it worse. After that, I did a video that was gayer than Broadway. Gayer than Broadway during Christmas mixed together with Pride. It was the gayest video I've ever made because I'm like, you know what? If you think I'm going to stop doing what I love, I'm going to choose teaching over it, go fuck yourself. I just doubled down. I was like, I'll be gayer than anything. So I didn't leave the video up. I promoted even more. And now I'm making a new video and it's even gayer because guess what? It takes place in a bathhouse. Oh, no. But again, it's a comedy because I wish this country were able to divorce the idea that everything that is sexual is pornographic.
Right.
For example, they're talking about, teachers shouldn't be able to divulge the fact that they're gay or that they're trans because that is telling children because it's pornographic. And I'm like, wait, I have a niece. She went to my wedding. You tell them, well, Sophia, I met my now husband. We're two men and we love each other very much because sometimes two men love each other. How do you explain transness? Like people who mutilate their bodies and blah, blah. Some boys decide they don't want to be boys and they want to be girls. They like being a girl more than they like being a boy. Some boys decide that they'd rather be a girl, that they'd rather wear dresses or they'd rather do things girls do. Some people decide they want to be neither. They want to be something in between a boy and a girl. That is something that's so simple. I've never had any student be like, but what about the penis and the vagina? They don't care about that, dude. It's talking about gender and it's talking about sexuality without making it sexual. It's not hard. It's very easy to do, especially with kids because they're a sponge that can understand so many new novel things that adults are too dead set in their ways to understand.
Right.
So right now I feel like we're in this battle for the soul of our country where we need to decide, are we going to stick with this ultra dogmatic approach where a penis on a marble statue is porn, where two men holding hands in the park is sexuality, where explaining that sometimes performers, that's the thing with drag queens, you understand, these are performers, just like Robin Williams was a drag queen, but he was straight. But now all these gay men that dress up as drag queens, that's also pornographic. Doesn't have to be. And actually, honestly, never was.
Right. Some
like it hot. Would you consider that porn? There's drag in it. It's ridiculous if you say yes.
Ridiculous doesn't seem to bother anybody. They still go with it. Mm-hmm. I think it was on Facebook, somebody posted something where it said which one of these is sexualization to kids. So it had this, it looked like a library or something. This guy dressed in drag, but like as an older woman, he was very fuddy-duddy looking. I mean, the dress over the knees, the whole thing, And then there was the cheerleaders at one of the national football teams and wearing almost nothing and doing all this stuff with their boobs hanging out and all this stuff. And so, but that's okay. But the fuddy-duddy reading a book in the library is not. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
No, we're in very scary times. And again, I feel like it's a battle over the soul of our country because now we're talking about sex ed. The other day I saw a video where in this middle school, this teacher was saying, well, and so in the anus, there is a body part called the prostate. And so the prostate is an erogenous zone. And so some people enjoy having that part of their body stimulated, whether it is through penile penetration or through butt plugs or through toys.
The teacher said all this?
Here's the thing. How is that different from saying, here's the clitoris? The clitoris is an organ that is an erogenous zone. The clitoris can be stimulated manually. It can be stimulated with toys, or it can be stimulated through penile penetration or oral sex. These are all basic sex ed 101 facts presented in an academic manner in the most vanilla way. Do you think people are gonna be like, oh yeah, tell me about your clitoris? And like, do you think there's a point where it's like, yeah, touch my erogenous zone with a toy and or with your... It's academia. It's boring as shit, but it's sex.
Right.
Is that porn? And a lot of parents are saying yes. But here's the thing. If you don't learn about the erogenous zones in a safe environment, they're going to learn it from porn.
Right.
And if you think your kid's not watching porn, oh, honey, I grew up with the internet. We knew everything by like 5th grade.
Right.
We knew of that secret channel that was all scrambled, but that if you pause it at the right time, it would show you things. We knew about X and XX. I remember like boys and girls would all get together. Do you guys want to watch this naughty website my cousin told me about? We'd watch straight up porn. And guess who's a better teacher? An actual teacher.
Right.
Who teaches about consent. Who teaches when it's okay or not okay for someone to touch you. Who teaches you, well, these parts, this is what they're called. This is what they're for or not for. And this is what happens when X or Y, Z happens. These are facts that everyone should have the basic right to understand. Being taught in a safe environment. Being taught about erogenous zones. Being taught about consent. Most importantly. Because guess what? There's already cases where people, when they're taught comprehensive sex ed, then that includes consent, they realize, oh my God, my father has been raping me. When you teach a child consent, and this is what rape is or not is, that's when they realize my pastor is sexually assaulting me. Because when you have the power of language on your side, you can identify when you're being exploited. And Republicans and religious people want to take that power, that right away from us.
Yeah, but they want to teach it themselves, except they're not going to teach it.
They're not going to. Oh, come on.
No, I'm saying
I went to Catholic school. I know what they wanted or didn't want us to teach us. It was all just the very basics, but in a very heteronormative lens. They never taught us about consent. They only told us, well, just you need to wait till you get married, and then you'll be able to do it. And then it needs to be this specific. And then when you find out about the other stuff, I'm like, wait, it's the same thing with drug education. They're like, wait, they taught us that all drugs will lead to you being homeless and that they'll eat your mind. I just smoked some weed, and nothing happened. So they were lying. If they were lying about weed, what else were they lying about? So now we have people that are straight up drug addicts because they were taught abstinence only. And again, that doesn't work. Just teach them the facts. Straight up facts. Why should we be worried about them? As long as I really believe that education is the most important tool to earn your freedom.
Right.
So if you remove that tool, you're just creating slaves to a system. And that helps no one. That doesn't create a healthy society. And it creates a miserable society. We talk so much about freedom. Freedom of choice is the biggest freedom there is. Do you think now that we're the only option to drive around in Palm Springs and LA is a car, do you think we're free? No, car is freedom, yeah, but if your only choice is to have a car or to be in a public transport system that just doesn't get you to places, that's not true freedom. Freedom of choice, to be able to do your own choices, that's true freedom. Freedom to do what you want with your own body, to go have a gender transition whether or not you want to. That's freedom of choice. That's body autonomy. Freedom to be able to have an abortion or not. Again, freedom of choice. You take that away from you, we're not really free. And it's just not the land of the free. It's the land of bullshit propaganda.
Yep. Getting scary out there.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I got on the soapbox for a bit.
Okay, we'll step down.
All right, we'll step down.
All right. So I always end these by asking my guest a question. And the question is, what have you learned in your life that you'd like to share? And actually, there's a little twist on this. You know, the name of my podcast is Becoming Wilkinson, which I put in my little note at the top of it. It was originally going to be my story of who I've become, because I've changed so much over the years. But what I realized is having all of these guests and learning from them is helping me become. So I guess my question is, what has helped you become who you are today? And what could you share with my people?
That's a thinker. I would say everything at one point when you're growing up, everything you've learned about the world, destroy it, set it on fire, burn it. And from there, create a new structure. Who I am, what do I want to do with my life? What is right? What is wrong? And then you'll truly be free. I'd also say one of the best things I ever did for myself, and the thing that changed my life forever and made me freer than most people I know, is go travel somewhere completely on your own. For me, it was New York and then Tokyo, Japan. When you remove yourself from your environment, when you remove yourself from all those subconscious little puppet strings, because we're all puppets. Even now, I feel like even the Buddha was a puppet in his own sense. No one is truly free. But if you can cut those strings even for a little bit and experience true, unfiltered freedom to do whatever the hell you want. Don't go with your best friend. Don't make this little live, laugh, love experience with your best friend going to Thailand. That's not true freedom. You're going to be thinking of, oh, what should we do? No, it's what do you want to do? Do you want to get up at 12 noon, go to a nude beach and run around naked on a fire chanting? Do you want to go to the ballet? You get to choose whatever you want to do with your life. And all of a sudden you get to think of all those decisions that were never really made by you, that were made by all the subconscious forces in your life.
Right.
So I would say one of the best things you can do is travel on your own. It's terrifying. One of the scariest things. I remember breaking down in tears the day before, thinking it was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life.
Right.
But it was also the best thing I've ever done with my life. And that's a good way to set fire to all the things you've been taught and then rebuild from there.
Good words.
That's my suggestion. I don't know anything about everything, but that's one thing I know to work really well for me.
Yeah. I think we'll have you on again.
Oh,
sometime soon.
That would be lovely. Thank you.
We'll pick another topic. It was great having you today. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me, for sure. It's been a pleasure.